Welcome to Waterline Square, the dynamic new three-tower master plan by GID Development Group where Midtown meets the Upper West Side. My name is Melissa Ziweslin, and on behalf of GID Development Group and Corcoran Sunshine Marketing Group, I'm delighted that you can join us for the 6th annual CS Talk event series. We're seated here today at the beautiful amenity space of 2 Waterline Square overlooking the Hudson River and the New York skyline. And I'm joined by Jacobeit and Daniel Jung of Somm, Cellars, Wine and Spirits. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here today with us for a conversation about wine and the special features of your new upcoming shop. So why don't we just dive right in? You guys have a tremendous pedigree in your industry, and I'm curious to know what brought you together as business partners, and we'd like to know a little bit about your background.
So Daniel and I work for the same restaurant group downtown, the Myriad Restaurant Group. I'm working at a restaurant called Batard, and Daniel's at Tribeca Grill just down the street. And the 2 restaurants actually share an office. So Daniel and I have been office mates for the last 6 years or so. And I was actually previously the buyer at Tribeca Grill. So I had Daniel's job before Daniel. And so there's been a lot of overlap there, just in terms of sharing of geographical space. But more than that, we really converge on our passion for one particular wine region, which is Burgundy. And so for many years, we've been sharing our favorite producers, our favorite wines, favorite bottles together. And at some point, about 4 years ago, that coalesced into this idea that we would have a project together. And it pretty quickly came together that project was going to be a retail operation that would allow us to really share our passion for this place on a much larger scale than we're able to do at our restaurants. So we love hospitality. We will always, I think, see ourselves as hospitality professionals. But as we move into the retail space, we see a huge opportunity to really trumpet out our message to not just the New York audience, but really a national audience. And so we couldn't be more excited to be calling Waterline Square home for that project.
That's super exciting. Well, there are lots of wine shops all over New York City. Tell us a bit about what's going to make yours different.
So, of course, the wine shop carries a lot of different regions, different producers, but there's not a single wine shop that really focuses in one specific region. And of course, everyone can be very skeptical about that strategy. But I think we just have to focus on our passion. So our passion is Burgundy. So, we're gonna carry a lot of different regions and different producers. A lot of diversity is gonna be happening there, but overall, our main difference between us and different wine shops are we are definitely focusing Burgundy. And that being said, Burgundy is well known for most highly overrated and overpriced wine category, which is we kind of disagree with that because. In Burgundy, there's a lot of different hierarchies. You're not really just talking about Grand Crus or Premier Crus or from very famous domains and producers, but our focus, Jason and I are super focused in humble appellation, the vineyards, the single LUDs, they're bringing much more excitement than those well-known Grand Crus. So, there's going to be a lot of different focus on different, village producers, but overall, that's just something that we really try to bring. What we can bring to Burgundy and Burgundy to Waterline Square and this Upper West Side.
So it sounds like you're looking to take a highly covetable wine region and typology and try to make it more accessible.
For sure, and I think more exciting too. I think for those really classic wine regions, people expect there to be great wines there, but people don't necessarily expect there to be a lot of excitement there. Sometimes people say, I know you love Burgundy. What are you excited about? And I say Burgundy. And what I mean by that is there's so much happening on the ground in Burgundy. Younger producers who maybe were the first members of their family to travel and do a harvest somewhere else. And they're bringing new ideas, new energy back to a familiar place. And so there's this really exciting buzz that's kind of hiding in plain sight. And I think when you're able to, provide a portal for people to walk through that and to come into contact with that, it's really interesting for people to return to this classic place, right? This benchmark for great wine, and to see that there are new ideas, new techniques being implemented, and it's impacting the wines in a really dramatic way. And so we want to be the eyes and ears on the ground, not just in Burgundy, but really beyond, and to really be the first to bring those wines to this very savvy, sophisticated community at Waterline Square.
That's wonderful. So Waterline Square is one that is known for its distinctly residential character. This is 3 towers positioned right on a beautiful new 2.6 acre park. So it seems just ripe for a shop like yours. Tell us a bit about what drew you to this development.
These days, I think people really invest their money on experience. And we want to bring experience to retail setup. Both Jason and I are coming from hospitality background. We were sommelier, and our job was like serving people. And we really want to serve people at Waterline as a retailer. We want to hear about your lifestyle. We want to hear about, what you want to drink. And that being said, sommelier job is like bring what you want to drink, right? Of course, our passion is Burgundy, but if you're big Napa Cap drinker, then I'd love to find the best value Napa Cap, within whatever price range you want. But we also want to be a storyteller. I think, Jason especially is amazing speaker and writer, and that's going to bring a lot of new energy to the retail setup, because the overall retail experience in New York is very one-dimensional, one direction. Where when you walk in the restaurant, the retail, the conversation would be like, what do you need, right? And the most response would be like, just leave me alone, right? And we really don't want to have that type of one-way relationship. We really want to listen what they want and what they're looking for, and that's why we made a big U-shaped bar in the middle. We have to give up a large format display racks in order to have that U-shaped bar, and that bar itself really tells us what we want to try to do, what we want to do at the shop, because we try to bring hospitality to retail. And I think Jason can make a little bit more color to it. But.
Yeah, I think the fundamental ethos of the shop is we want to find the furthest convergence point between anticipatory hospitality and retail. And so to Daniel's point, we built this bar in the middle of the shop with bar seating around it, where you can come in, you can sit down. We will pour you tastes of wine that we will have open during all of our operating hours. We'll have coffee, we'll have tea available. There'll be more kind of human creature comforts, something that feels more hospitable than just the transactional kind of sterile experience of being in a retail shop. And we felt like Waterline was the right place for that to come to life, because to me, this development is all about lifestyle, right? People that are moving into the space that we're talking to, they're not choosing the space for the square footage or the number of bedrooms. It's a lifestyle. It's a way of thinking, a way of living. And for us, thinking about wine, drinking wine is part of a broader lifestyle sort of, trajectory, and so, as sommeliers, we care about, what we eat, and we try to exercise, and we love wine, and all of those things here kind of fit neatly together, right? The amenity spaces allow people this unprecedented access to, all of these different things that, these, exercise studios, et cetera. There's an incredible outlet for artistic expression, right? Beautiful grand piano just situated behind us here. And we think that wine has a place in that whole scheme. And so we actually think of our retail space as an extension of the amenity spaces at Waterline. It's another amenity space right? It comes with a particular viewpoint, and hopefully we bring some expertise and some value, but ultimately we want to fit here rather than bringing something out and into the development and sort of hoping it works.
You know, we like to think of Waterline Square as being really the most comprehensive living experience that has been afforded New Yorkers in quite some time. And so everything that you're saying makes total sense. You're really looking to foster a deeper engagement with the community, which sounds really dynamic for a wine store arrangement that has, you know, been a little dusty, I think, in the past. So I really can't wait to see what all you have to offer. Can you tell us a little bit more about any programming that you have in mind specifically for the residents?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously, COVID has presented some challenges for us. As you know, we work in restaurants, and so we've seen really up close how, you know, the experiential parts of hospitality have been impacted. We've had the opportunity over the last 7 months to organize a lot of virtual events with residents of Waterline, and so we've met dozens of current residents, and as well as some people who are joining the community in the near future. So we've tried to create kind of an innovative series of events, from introductory kind of happy hour or wine 101 kind of things, all the way up until like master classes, where we've brought a winemaker in from a place like Rioja was one that we did recently. We were able to share a few wines with people in the community. We shipped them out to them. They were able to open them. People made a recipe to accompany the wines, and the winemaker joined on the call as well. So until the world normalizes, we're trying to find some innovative ways to connect with people virtually. But moving forward into 2021 and beyond, we will definitely be looking to do a lot of collaborations with winemakers. You know, one thing that we want to do for the community here is to leverage our connections with winemakers, especially winemakers from Europe. And so when winemakers are in town, we'll be doing events and seminars and dinners, things like that. And that will all be happening right here at Waterline. And residents will certainly have a front row seat for all of those.
Yeah, I think, you know, what we are trying to do is that, like, we really want to leverage our connections, and at the same time we really want to bring hospitality to retail. And that being said, not just two of us, but all of our employees will be either sommelier or spirit specialists from, like, you know, the very well-known cocktail bars or whiskey bars. But obviously, every single employee will be hospitality-related professionals, and that gives a lot of connections. I mean, usually you will see a lot of wine dinners from the restaurant, but we, you know, because we are from, you know, hospitality background, and we know a lot of sommeliers and wine directors, and also our, you know, co-workers would be colleagues. We basically they're working from, you know, whatever restaurant that you name. So we're gonna do a lot of collaboration during, I mean, especially COVID. It's really hard to have this type of synergy, you know, with the restaurants and retails. And we really want to bring something, the new energies that we can be both, like, successful and beneficial to each other. So, like, having, you know, like, great wine dinner with, like, you know, very famous restaurant, doesn't necessarily be like Michelin star restaurants, but obviously we really want to bring kind of like connections. And that being said, a lot of residents could be a friend of, like, different Somms from different restaurants, and, you know, you met this guy or you met this girl from this retail shop, and all of a sudden you see this guy or this woman from the like, you know, like John George restaurant. I mean, everything can happen, right? And that's a connection is very important these days, and that's something that we're looking for.
Great. Well, you will definitely be in good company here at Waterline Square with the Cipriani restaurant and food hall right next door, and the new Empeon Taqueria at the property as well. So we're all really delighted to have you all join this really dynamic group of retailers, and the residents undoubtedly will be as well. So this question might not be fair, but if you were stuck on a desert island, which would be your favorite Burgundian wine to have by your side?
Interesting. So call me literal-minded, but my first thought is that on the desert island, I'm going to want something that's very refreshing, right? So I chose a wine from Chablis, which happens to be both of our favorite wine region. It's technically part of Burgundy, but is a little bit geographically separated from the rest of Burgundy, so the wines are very distinctive. In addition to having a functional role of slaking the thirst on the desert island, we also chose a wine from probably the one producer that we really feel like we couldn't live without their wines, and that's Domaine Ravenau. So there's kind of an aspirational feel to this wine as well. This is one of their rarest and finest bottlings. It's from a small Grand Cru called Clos. And it's an older bottle as well. So it's definitely a special occasion wine, but if you're stuck on a desert island, you probably can't find many reasons to not pop those great bottles if you have them. So a great bottle of Chablis would be my choice.
Terrific.
Yeah, I mean, if you're stuck in the desert island, right, you don't want to bring everyday wine, right? We definitely chose the bottle that we really want to drink on a special day, and it seems like it's a special day if you're stuck in the island, right? So the 87 is a very tough vintage in Chablis. It was like kind of raining all entire season, and then luckily the harvest season was pretty bright. But it's really hard to find this type of like 80s Chablis from this domain, and I was luckily we were able to pop like a couple 87s in the past, and every single bottles were so beautiful, like still fresh, like salty, salinity, a lot of like brininess to it. So yeah, I mean, this is a perfect bottle for us for sure.
Lovely. So we all just spent so many months stuck at home. I'm curious, what was your favorite wine to drink during the shutdown?
So I picked the bottle. I definitely drank a couple bottles of this for sure, out of hundreds of bottles during shutdown. But this is another Burgundy producer from Moray-Saint-Denis called Philippe Juan. It's Agni A. Philippe Juan. From Gevrey-Chambertin. Although he's based in Moray-Saint-Denis, this is the wine from Gevrey-Chambertin. It's the single Ludi called Eau Assageau, 2015. So although what makes Burgundy exciting is that although this is a village parcel, this village parcel is sit right next to the Somm, which is Grand Cru. And there's a value. This is 80 years old vine, and it gives an amazing structure and finesse at the same time. Philippe Juan, his father Agni was the friend of legendary producer Jackie Truchot, and they really share their winemaking styles and work in the vineyard and. Juan's style is definitely slightly more rustic than Truchot, but overall the wines are super refined, like has a beautiful fruit, mineral, but at the same time I think it gives a lot of stories and details. And during the quarantine, we need something fun, right? We need to bring some excitement to our life, and this bottle definitely brought some excitement.
So not to get political, but what will you be drinking on election night?
So for election night, I chose a wine from the southern part of Burgundy, from the Beaujolais. And thinking about the question, two considerations. One is it may become a long night if the race is too close to call and you're up all night watching, right? And you may, whether you're successful or unsuccessful, depending on the result of the election, you may be drinking a lot of wine. So I wanted to find something that's very drinkable, something that you don't get weighed down by your first glass or your second glass, and also something low enough in alcohol that if you're drinking a lot of it, you're going to feel okay. You're going to feel reasonably spry. And Beaujolais is one of those wines among red wines. It's very refreshing. It's very easy to drink, right? A lot of red wines can be high in alcohol or really high in tannin, right? And they work maybe well with food, but they're less easy to drink on their own, and they're less easy to drink large quantities of. So Beaujolais is our favorite wine to drink in volume. And this producer, Jean Foillard, is like reference point Beaujolais. He is technically a natural wine producer, and that's a word that has a lot of kind of strings attached to it these days. Some people are looking specifically for natural wines, thinking that the wines can sometimes be a little kind of funky, or they're very distinctive, right? And other people really kind of push back at the category of natural wine. And our preference is to navigate the natural wine category in a skillful enough way that we're plucking out the most worthy producers and showcasing them, and leaving some of the more kind of the less desirable wines behind. And Jean Foillard is a producer that was making natural wines long before natural wines became fashionable. It's really his style of winemaking rather than him jumping on a bandwagon or doing something that's sexy or hip or cool. And his wines just have this extraordinary purity to them. They are so frank, so direct. There's just something very easy to see into about his wines, and most importantly, they are freaking delicious. So for election night, I will make sure I have at least one magnum of Jean Foillard Beaujolais around,
Great idea.
regardless of the result.
That's terrific. Thank you. And what will you be drinking for Thanksgiving? As in, what goes well with turkey and stuffing, whether or not your presidential hopeful won or lost?
So I picked one of my favorite producers in Burgundy. So his name is Didier Fournereau. This is Côte de Nuit Village Blanc, which is coming from very humble appellation, the village called Congoloen. The reason why I picked this wine is, in Thanksgiving, usually it's well known for like Beaujolais night or Pinot Noir night. But I picked a 100% Chardonnay bottle. That's because I just love this producers. And Thanksgiving is a celebration of like harvest, right? And DDA is the one of the guy that is a true farmer. So whenever you visit him, he's all tanned. He worked like 15 hours in the vineyard, and all of a sudden he's riding his truck, truck, and just like, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry for being late. I was working on the vineyard, and he's a true farmer, and his wines are incredibly detailed and fresh and elegant and delicious. So I always love to drink Chardonnay with turkey and also like stuffing, because it has a beautiful acidity and the texture that goes super well with turkey and salty kind of savory stuffing. I love to drink this Côte de Nuit Village Blanc 2013 from Didier Fournereau.
That sounds lovely. Thank you. Daniel and Jason, thank you so much for joining us today for CS Talks. I love listening to both of you rhapsodize so romantically about your industry, and we all look forward to Somm, Cellars Wine and Spirits opening right down the street on Riverside Boulevard at Waterline Square this November.
The future is very bright at Waterline, and we're excited to be a part of it, for sure.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.